What's up, everybody? Salama from MadeGains, and this is going to be a thorough instructional video on how to calculate your macros using the MG macro calculator. Now, this is a free calculator, and the link to the download is in the description below. So just a heads up, this calculator is part of a program called the Meal Plan Master, which is the full version. But I decided to make the calculator and this first instructional video for free for anybody who just wants to calculate the macros. So I hope you enjoy it. So in this first instructional video, we're going to talk about how to use the calculations tab in the Meal Plan Master. And the purpose of these calculations is to calculate how much total calories we need to consume in order to reach our goals, whether we're trying to gain weight, whether we're trying to lose weight, or whether we're trying to do that in an aggressive, fast manner, or we want to take a more moderate approach. There's always pros and cons to the different options. So I'm going to walk you through this so we can do the calculations, and then by the end of it, we'll know how many macronutrients we need to consume. And macronutrients are your protein, carbohydrates, and fats. And this kind of is calculated or is extracted from the total calories. So that may sound like a lot now, but by the end of this, you'll have a thorough understanding of what that's all about. So in the first section of the calculator, you'll see personal data. And this is very straightforward. What you want to do is plug in your personal information. And it is important to do that and be very accurate here because this affects the calculations. Things like your current body weight, your gender, your age, your height, these will affect the calculations, and the start date will affect the goal setting section because in the goal setting section, we calculate how many total pounds you're trying to gain or lose, and we also calculate the rate of how fast you're trying to do it. So if you're dieting, say for 8 weeks, and you have a total number that you're trying to gain or lose, we will tell you that each week you need to be gaining or losing this. So long story short, make sure you're putting your personal data in as accurately as possible. If you need conversions, say you want to use kilograms, or say you're used to using kilograms and you want to convert that into pounds, or if you're used to using feet and inches and you want to convert that into centimeters, there are conversions at the very bottom. So kilograms here, type in your kilograms and you'll get your pounds that you need to input at the top. And if you're used to using feet and inches, type that in here, and you will get centimeters here, and you need to input that in at the very top. So the next thing we want to look at is body type. And instead of using percentages, like me asking you, what is your body fat percentage? Are you 10, 15, 20, 25% body fat? It's a lot easier to use pictures and visuals because many calculators or many measuring tools that try to measure body fat, many of them are inaccurate, and sometimes people don't use them correctly. So a lot easier or a more straightforward thing to use is just visuals. So what you need to do here is select the picture that most looks like you. So fair warning, if you have this set to male, you'll only be able to choose the male pictures. If you have set to female, you can only choose the female pictures. So in this example, we're doing this for a guy named Bill who is currently 190 pounds and is trying to lose weight. As you'll see in a moment, we're going to have this set to male. And we're going to say Bill looks like this guy here. So we're going to click on that. And it does jump down to here because it's assuming you are moving forward. But since we're still explaining this, we'll move back. So your body type, this is going to give us an idea of what your body fat percentage is. Now, it doesn't need to be perfect. As long as you're in the right range and you select the right picture, this will help us calculate other things, mainly your protein intake, which we will get to in the future. So for now, just select the picture that most looks like you. So the next thing that we're going to look at is the activity level. And this is going to affect the calculations because this affects how much energy you are burning or how much calories you are burning. Because there's two sides to the energy balance equation: the amount of energy or calories that you are consuming and the amount of energy or calories that you are burning. So your activity level has a large impact on how many calories you're burning, and it will affect the rest of the calculation. So we're going to quickly talk about the different options under the activity level because this can be kind of tricky for a lot of people. And in all fairness, it is a very tricky thing because it is a guess, it is an estimate. These descriptions are never going to match anyone's lifestyle, perfectly. So you just, once again, you have to read it. You have to use your discretion and try to choose the best one for you. But I'm going to give you some tips to try to make it as accurate as possible. So first and foremost, you need to think about what you're doing throughout the majority of your day. Are you a student and are you sedentary and just going to school and, at a desk for the most of the time? Or are you do you have an office job, again, where you are sitting and not doing too much and you are more on the sedentary side? Then you are going to end up somewhere in the sedentary light active side. So even if you lift weights, 3, 4, 5 times a week, that doesn't necessarily put you in the high activity, high exercise ranges because the majority of your day is still very sedentary. Now, on the other hand, if you have a construction job or a very physically demanding job that has you on your feet or lifting heavy or just constantly moving, then that's going to start to bump you up higher into the activity range. Plus, if you say you are an athlete and you are doing a sport that is also very physically demanding or very requires a lot of energy, say you play soccer where you are running for 90 minutes per game or per practice session, that is going to put you up higher into the activity range. If you play basketball or any other sort of sport, those sort of things are going to bring up your activity level. If you're someone who you do a lot of cardio or someone who takes classes that require a lot of movement, again, those will put you higher into the activity levels. Weightlifting is the only thing that I would say is where people overestimate usually, and they think it burns more calories than it actually does. If you are lifting weights, that does not put you into that very active range if you live a sedentary lifestyle. If, on the other hand, you are playing sports and have a very active job, then you want to start looking at more active or very active numbers. So there is a small description here along with what I just mentioned. So hopefully you will be able to choose the best one. So in this example with Bill, we're going to say that Bill has a sedentary job. He works at a desk. He doesn't move too much. And he is now lifting weights 3 to 4 times a week. I'm going to put Bill in the light activity section and select this right here. So this does affect the calculations. As you can see here under the calorie target, light activity has us around 2028. If I were to choose active, it actually bumps that up because it's assuming you are burning more calories so you can consume more calories in order to maintain or adjust your weight according to your goal. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Just select the best option for your activity level. In this case, it's going to be light activity. So the next thing that we're going to look at is goal setting. So under the goals section, there are 2 things that you need to enter. Your goal weight, your goal body weight in pounds, and the goal date, the date that you are trying to achieve that weight that you input. So this is going to help us calculate what the total amount of weight gain or weight loss is. So for example, with Bill, he's starting at 190 pounds and he wants to get down to 175 pounds. So he wants to lose 15 pounds in total. And based on the date that he put in, his start date and his goal date, he's going to have to lose about a pound a week in order to reach this goal at this date. So one thing you guys want to keep in mind is these numbers need to be reasonable. They need to be reasonable. They need to be sustainable. So what I mean by that is losing 1 pound per week is great, especially for someone like Bill who has quite a bit of body fat on him. Losing 1 pound a week is a good, consistent thing that he can try to do up until this his goal date. Now, if he chose a different goal date, say he chose instead of October, he wanted to go down to say August 15th, he would then have to lose 2.3 pounds a week in order to reach his goals. Now that is going to be a lot more aggressive. He's going to be dieting a lot harder and he's going to be a lot hungrier. That might not be sustainable. So depending on what he wants to do, does he want to take an aggressive approach? Is August 15th a very important date for him? Maybe it's a wedding, maybe it's a vacation, and he's going to be on the beach. Who knows, right? So depending on your goal and what you think you can sustain, that's how you're going to adjust these numbers. My recommendation as a trainer, hopefully Bill doesn't have any special dates that he has to get ready for. I would say losing about a pound a week is a good rate. That is sustainable. It's something that's not going to make you very hungry, and it's something that you can consistently do. If, on the other hand, you are someone who's bulking and you're trying to put on weight, you don't want to put on weight too fast. Otherwise, you're going to be putting on a lot of fat. So if you are bulking, if you're someone who's already kind of lean and you're trying to put on more muscle, this should be around a half a pound to 0.8 pounds per week because you want to gain slowly to try to maximize the amount of muscle and minimize the amount of fat that you're putting on. So the next step is your diet selection. And this is actually the second last section, so we're almost done. So under diet selection, this is where you get to choose what sort of diet you are trying to follow. So as you can see here, we range from minus 40%. And what that means is the amount, or that means that a percentage that you are either subtracting or adding to your maintenance calories. So let me take it back a little bit and explain that. So based on the calculations and the information that we put in so far, we get a maintenance calories, which is right here. As you can see for Bill, with his current body composition, with his height, his weight, his activity level, for him to maintain his current body weight, he needs to consume 2,535 calories. If he was to consume that, theoretically speaking, he would maintain his body weight. Now, if he wants to gain weight, or in this situation, he wants to lose weight, he's going to have to subtract from those calories in order to lose weight. He needs to be in a negative energy balance in order to lose body fat. So going over to the diet selection, as you see in the drop down section here, we have minus 40% up to plus 20%, depending if you're trying to gain or lose. So what the percentage is the amount of calories based on a percentage that we're subtracting or adding to the maintenance calories. So for Bill, if Bill wants to lose a pound a week, which is in line with his goals, he needs to select moderate cut, which is minus 20% from his maintenance calories. Let's say, for example, he chose a slow cut, which is less of a reduction from his maintenance calories. As you can see, he would only lose around 0.5 pounds per week, which is not in line with his goals. So he needs to make adjustments to his diet to match his goals. If I go back to minus 20%, it is now saying minus 1, which is in line with his calculated goals. So if you are bulking, I would suggest choosing a lean bulk, or if you are, if you really want to push the pace on gaining weight, you can choose a bulk, which is plus 15% to your total calories. But these are all your options to choose from, and the best thing to do is to select what's going to give you that pounds per week that matches your actual goals. So there's not much to it in this section. All you need to know is that this is your maintenance calories, and this is going to be your calorie target. This is the calories that you need to consume in order to reach your goal, and this is going to change based on the diet that you choose. On to the last section of the calculations is your macronutrients. And like I mentioned earlier, once you have your total calories calculated, which we do here under a calorie target, for Bill is 2,028 calories, and that's based on his moderate cut. We now need to figure out how that's going to be broken down into macronutrients. And macronutrients is your protein, fats, and carbs. So your protein for this calculator is in lean body mass. And what that means is we're calculating how many grams of protein you need to consume based on your lean body mass. And your lean body mass is your total weight, subtracting your body fat, and that is your lean body mass. And in my opinion, this is more accurate than just doing it for your total body weight. And this will automatically be calculated based on the picture that you selected. So for someone who's higher in body fat, they won't need as much protein. For someone who's leaner, like this guy here, he's very lean. When he says he's 180 pounds, it's a lot of muscle. So he needs to eat a lot more protein to maintain, build, and repair that muscle. So for Bill, he's around here. Yes, he's going to need quite a bit of protein, of course, but not as much because he doesn't have as much lean body mass on him. So for someone who's dieting, my personal recommendation is 1.2 grams per pound of lean body mass. If you are someone who's bulking and you have more calories to eat and you are not in a calorie deficit, you're okay going with 1 gram protein per pound of lean body mass. So that's typically the range that I stay in, between 1 gram to 1.2 grams. But there are many options here if for any reason you want to make those adjustments. So for Bill, 1.2 grams per pound of lean body mass is going to give him around 170 grams of protein. For fats, again, this is based on personal preference and what works best for you. Do you like more fats in your diets, or do you like more carbohydrates in your diets? It really depends on a lot of people. People do better on different things. So generally speaking, for someone who's on a diet, somewhere between 20% and 25% is usually good, unless they really enjoy more fats or if they don't do well with carbs. Some people are insulin, their insulin sensitivity isn't that good. Maybe they're insulin resistant, and when they eat and consume carbohydrates, it makes them slow. They get lethargic. They don't feel as good. So eating more fats in that case will be good for them. But there's other people who, they can eat a whole big bowl of rice and a big bowl of pasta, and they feel fantastic. They feel like they can go run a marathon. That person typically is metabolizing and using carbohydrates a lot better. So for them, they would eat a lower amount of fats and eat more carbs. For someone who doesn't like carbs or doesn't make them feel too good, say they go up to 30%. As you can see, the carbohydrates dropped and the fats increased. So you can play with this, try to find your sweet spot. Me personally, I do like fats, but I don't like too much. I do fine on carbohydrates, especially when I put them around my training sessions. So I would recommend 20 to 25%. Let's just say 25% for Bill. So this is Bill's macros. He needs to eat 171 grams of protein, 56 grams of fats, and 209 grams of carbohydrates. And this is based on his dieting calories, and this will be used in the meal plan section at the end. So that's the end of the tutorial for the calculations. I hope you guys found that beneficial. Once again, there are links here at the bottom for my email if you need to hit me up, along with the website if you'd like to find and see more resources from MadeGains. Also check out my YouTube channel and my Instagram, because I'm always posting fitness related information on there, a lot of science-based stuff on my Instagram, and usually more practical things on my YouTube channel. So if there's anything else that you guys need about the calculations, leave a comment below, or feel free to email me, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible.